Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday, October the 8th. Thank you all for joining me for our October Tips and Tricks webinar. We're going to give it just a couple of minutes to see who else decides to join us live. On the call today, I also do have Crystal, who's going to be manning the chat there. So as we're going through, I always just like to mention that during the webinar, if you'll put your questions there into the chat, and we may be able to stop and answer them, or we might save those till the end. But I just ask that you keep your microphones muted and put any questions you might have into that chat. And then, of course, after we run through everything we're going to be covering today, I'll open the floor. And if you have any questions, you can turn off your microphones at that time and ask them as well. I do also ask that all questions pertain to the topic at hand, which for today's webinar is going to be our proposal settings area. And of course, for anybody who does not know, my name is Brandy, and I am the support director here at Details Flowers. And we host one of these webinars each month. And each month it's going to be on a different topic. So if we have anybody in here who has anything that they would specifically like to cover in a tips and tricks webinar, reach out to us and let us know. And we're more than happy to do a class on that as well. Looks like I've got a couple of people who have been here for a while. And then we've also got a couple of new people here on the call, which is fantastic. I also want to mention that these classes are recorded, so if you ever want to go back and watch those, you can. And as long as you register for the webinar, we're also going to send a follow-up email, and it's going to have the full recorded class and our highlights blog as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started and share my screen. So before we get started, I do just want to mention, though, like I said, that all of these are recorded and you can go back and watch them at any time. So over on your main menu here under support, you're going to see an option that says webinars. So you can go there at any point and watch any of our past webinars. Or of course, if there's any that you miss in that month, you can certainly watch those once they've finished as well. All right, so for today's topic, like I said, we're going to go over the proposal settings area. This section is found on the proposal tab within your events. So if we're inside of an event, at the top, you're going to click on that proposal button here at the top, and that's going to bring you over to our proposal editing page. As you know, or maybe you don't know, this area is going to be where you're going to build out your proposals. It's where you're going to be able to customize that proposal, add in your own photos, adjust anything that you might want to hide or show, etc. here within your proposal. So the proposal settings area is going to be found at the very top of our page here, and it's going to contain a couple of very exciting updates that you can do here to your proposal itself. The very first thing that you're going to come to in this section is going to be your theme. For anybody who's just starting in details, each account will come with blooming, blossom, and vanilla. But of course, if you want to purchase any of our additional templates, you can do so by going from your main menu under Marketplace and Details Add-ons. That page is going to look like this, and you'll be able to check out those different layout options. And you can see all of their different gifts here. You can also click on them to make them larger so you can see exactly what's included in each of those. So just so you're aware, if you ever want to purchase additional, those are there. But like I said, you do get started with 3, blooming, blossom, and vanilla. Below that theme is going to be your page number. So this is actually going to be your footer. So originally it will start off with your client's full name and then page number blank of blank, but those can be edited. You can use different tokens here. If you're not familiar with tokens, I highly recommend that you click on this personalized button here, and that's going to take you over to a Support Center article that will list out all of the available tokens. But tokens are basically going to be little bits of information here, so like page number, and that's going to fill in data based on your actual event itself. So in this case, client full name, it's going to populate that client's full name that you had listed out in your client info section. But of course, you don't have to use tokens either. If you want to, you can also free type in these areas. So you'll just remove any of the data that's already there and you can type in whatever you'd like. That information is going to show at the very bottom of each one of your pages. And then, of course, you can choose your alignment here using the drop-down menu. In the middle here, it's going to be your fonts. So with details, you do have two different font options. The first is going to be your primary font, and then the second one is going to be your headings. So when we think of primary font, just think of anything that's not a heading. And then, of course, you start off with your Lato as your primary font, and then Playfair Display as your secondary font. To change out these fonts, you're just going to click right on the name of the font itself, and you're going to see a box that pops up. This is going to be your font selector. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see a series of different drop-downs. So you've got your category, your different families, and each category will have its own families. And depending on the category, some have a lot of options and some have a couple of options. So just keep that in mind. And then also at the bottom, you're going to have your variant. Same thing, depending on what category and family you've chosen, is going to depend on the number of options that you have here in your variant as well. Of course, as you change those options on the right-hand side, you're going to see some preview text. So you can see exactly what that font will look like before you add it onto your proposal. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose the 300 italic and keep that laid out. So you'll see now here at the top, that's changed out this information that I have here, but it'll also change out a couple of other areas. So information here. Also on our concept page, that description that you put in there, that's included in those fonts. And of course, the information here on all of the bulk of your pages. But let's talk about the headings. So we're not talking about just the headings of these specific pages here. We're also talking about these section headers. So again, you're just going to click on the name of the font itself, and you'll be able to select that different font there. Okay. All right, so then right next to that, you're also going to find your company information. So this information is actually populated in from your company info section. This area does utilize tokens, just like we saw on that format field. And it's going to automatically populate with your company name, your company address, the phone number, and your email. Again, all of that information is going to be coming from under main menu, company, and info. So if at any point you see information that is incorrect, either on this area here or anywhere else within your proposal, you can absolutely go back to that company info page and adjust that information. Of course, with that being said, if there's ever a time where you want to make changes on a per proposal basis, you can also do that here. So for example, we do have a couple of people who maybe they have two companies, which means they have two logos, two company names, things like that. But maybe also we have a lot of freelancers or people that subcontract on the side for, let's say, event planners. And those event planners might want their information to show up on the top of those proposals. So in that case, you can make changes here on a per proposal basis without changing out your company defaults. Same thing at the top here, you're going to have that image, and the image is going to be your logo. So you can choose to change that image right from this box. And if it's a new image, you're just going to click on that upload image option here at the bottom. Otherwise, you can choose from your inspiration, your event inspiration, favorite items, or favorite recipes for this specific event. Right, so next in this box, you're also going to see that save and publish button. And so that's how you're going to be able to create your different proposals here in details and ultimately create this proposal access section, which is going to include your proposal link. and then options to add things like an expiration date or create a new link or revoke access from a specific person as well. But the most exciting thing I think about this proposal settings area is actually going to be defaults and templates. So if you guys have been here for a little while, or if you've seen any of our previous webinars, you'll know that we have created options for you to utilize templates in areas like the worksheet and the contract terms. You can also load templates into your event defaults worksheet. And we've created these templates to make things easier and to create a better timeline for you so that you're saving time and not spending so much time recreating those same things that you're seeing over and over again. Like, how many times have you created a green and white wedding? Or maybe we're doing that blush and burgundy with white. So if we're doing these same trends and themes over and over again, we highly recommend that you create templates of those. And you can do that, like I said, in the worksheet, but you can also do it here in your proposal area. So when we talk about templates on the proposal area, I want you to keep in mind anything that you edit here on the proposal. So that's going to be things like the photos that you can swap out, the names of your clients. If we're talking about things like the concept page, that overall feeling description, the different headers and things that you can adjust here on the proposal as well. Also things like on the line items page, if you always hide the recipe name, or you always hide the notes for your recipes, or you never show the individual thumbnail images for each one of your items that are included in a recipe. You can make templates and also defaults of your proposal. So when you go create a template or your defaults for the proposal, I want you to keep in mind all of those editable fields. Anything that you can edit on this proposal is going to be saved into the default. I say that because if you save a proposal template with John and Susie's name in here, those are editable fields. And so anytime you load this template in, John and Susie's name is going to pop up. So just keep those things in mind. But after I've created this beautiful proposal, this is my green and white wedding, and I want to save that, and I want to use that each time somebody comes in with that same theme. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go up to that menu option here at the top, and I'm going to click that Save As option and save this as a proposal template. So the next time that I want to come in and I want to utilize this same proposal, I'm going to come back up here to the menu option of that new event, and I'm going to click Load Template. Now, from here, I'm going to have any of the templates that I might have previously saved, and I can go ahead and click to add that option right onto my proposal. Earlier today, I created a wildflower template. So we're actually going to go ahead and load that template in. So you'll see that it's added in the names here that I had and all of the pictures that I had saved for this person. Same thing on the concept page. It's going to be changing out all of my photos. But things that you are going to be noticing is that it doesn't change out my color palette, because that's not something I can edit on the proposal. It's not going to change out my line items because that's not something I can edit on the proposal. So I also want you to keep in mind that these proposal templates are going to work in conjunction with worksheet templates. So for example, on that wildflower, I probably am going to go in and load in my worksheet wildflower template. Then I'm going to come in and go to the proposal and load in my wildflower template. Of course, all this is to say these are templates, and it's going to be just a base outline for you. So of course, I'm probably going to want to change out the names. Maybe this is no longer John and Susie's event. I'm probably going to want to hide some things that I may have not hidden before, or change out some headers and titles to things that may not have been applicable to my past person. But overall, this is going to be your base, your starting point for this particular event. In addition to templates, though, you can also create defaults. If you're new to details, you've probably seen it's more like a boho theme that we have for the default images that populate every time you start a new event in details. But if you don't like those photos, maybe you have some other photos that you want to use instead, things that, if you're just giving a quick quote, I'm going to put these photos in there as placeholders. You can also create defaults. So the process for creating defaults is going to be the exact same. You're going to have that save as option. And this time you're going to go to proposal defaults. And then if you want to put in a description, you absolutely can. And then you'll go ahead and save that. What that means is then every time you start a new proposal from there on out, it's going to load in with those defaults, those new defaults, whatever you've selected to be those. And that's going to especially be helpful, not necessarily in the photo aspect, though that also is something it will be helpful with, but more so in the terms of like line items. I'm always hiding my recipe names. I'm always hiding my notes, etc., etc. Or maybe I really just don't like the title event design agreement. Maybe I always go in and I change that and I take out event because it's just design agreement for us. All of those small little things, if you save them on your defaults, you're not going to have to do that every single time you do a proposal. And like I said, of course, things might change or be swapped out depending on the event and where it's located, or the bride or the groom or anything like that. But ultimately, that's going to be your base starting point there. All right. Does anybody have any questions on any of our proposal settings or saving templates or defaults? Looks like I do have a question from Clara here. It says, can you please show us again where to save the defaults? Absolutely. So once you have created your proposal exactly as you want it, you've put in your default images, you've hidden what you want to hide, you've changed out the headings for the things you want to change out. Then you're going to go up here to the menu option at the top here in the proposal settings area. And you're going to go to save as. And then in that drop down menu, you're going to select proposal defaults instead of proposal template. You can give it a description if you'd like, and then you can go ahead and click that save button. Additionally, if there's ever a time that you've loaded in a template or you've made changes to something and you really just want to go back to your defaults, you also have that load defaults option. So it'll just revert back to whatever you've got saved as your defaults. So just to keep that in mind. All right, how to remove my mailing address on the last summary page. So she is referring to on the summary page, the mail payments to, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We really try not to accept checks. We try to accept wire payments or even Zelle or credit card. And we have a whole statement that we send out via email with that information, but I'd actually love to be able to put it there instead of mail payments too.
Okay.
How can we do that?
Okay, so you can't put that information there. This section is like hard coded to have that mail payments to, like header, if you will. So that's not something that you can change on the proposal. And so in this case, it wouldn't fall into this category, if you will. But if you just want to remove that section completely, on the main menu under financials, there's actually a section where you would put that information in. And if you clear out all of those fields, that section will just come off of the summary.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Are we able to add any language to the contract? Language as in changing the language from like English to another language, or language as in adding in like contractual language? Contractual language. Okay. So also not something that you're going to actually edit on the proposal itself, but that does show up on your terms page here. If you want to make edits to the proposal on a per event basis, you're going to go to financials, and then you're going to have that event terms option, so you can edit it there. If you want to edit it for every event moving forward, you're going to go back to your company settings and go to contract terms, and you'll be able to make those changes there. Of course, yeah. All right, so if anybody else has a question, go ahead and put it in there. But I do have one more thing to go over in this proposal settings area. And to go over it is actually, I'm going to go into this proposal, and I'm going to go ahead and sign my proposal. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and open up the proposal exactly as my client would, just by clicking on that view button. And then at the top of my PDF, I'm going to have an accept and sign button. And I'm going to go ahead and just put in and I'll go ahead and sign that document. Perfect. And then I am going to refresh my page. So I think it was previous, like the beginning of this year. If a client signed the proposal, their signature was forever and always on that proposal. If you made changes and saved and published a new version, their signature would still be on that, which in some cases was fine. But if you wanted your client to re-sign, they would just have to, you'd notate that to your client and say, hey, your signature is still there, but if you sign again, it will sign over your previous signature. But we wanted to make sure that that was no longer something that you had to do if you were looking for them to re-sign that. So once a client has signed, you're also going to have this client signature option here. And the toggle is basically to either retain the signature or not retain the signature. So if you've made a bunch of changes, especially if the amount of the event has drastically changed, I always highly recommend that you have your clients re-sign, especially for that new balance. And so you can go in here and just toggle that to no. And then when you save and publish, it's actually going to remove the signature off of the proposal and just give them a clean line for them to go ahead and sign that contract again. But on that same wavelength, because it really has to do with keeping track of signatures and people being able to sign at multiple times as multiple changes are being made to the event, at the very top of your page, you're also going to see your client's name here. And if we view documents, you're always going to have this running list of every time your client has signed. And if you ever want to go back and view a previous version of a signature, you can always click into that specific section and view the proposal as it was on that date. All right. But that's going to conclude our proposal settings here. Does anyone have any lingering questions on changing out your theme, adjusting your footer, your fonts, signature retention, changing out your company information on a per proposal basis, saving templates, or saving defaults?
I have one more question. On the front page where it says featured name 1 and featured name 2, there's an ampersand in between. Is
Yes.
there any way to remove the ampersand? Because sometimes we're not doing a wedding, so it's not 2 people. It's like, you know, a corporate event or something else, an anniversary party.
So if you remove the second name, it removes the ampersand. And so, like, for example, if this was a corporate, let's just say, I don't know, the title company or something like that, you could absolutely put in their information there, and just put it in the featured name 1 instead of having 2 names. But if there's not 2 names, the ampersand won't show up.
And so you just I saw that you typed something long and it didn't like fit.
Mhm.
So is there any way to like break it to the next line, or what happens in that case?
Yeah, so this particular theme actually does not allow for long names like that. Other themes that you can find in our marketplace will allow for longer names, but this particular theme only allows for like shorter names.
Okay.
Will it be possible one day to change all heading languages, such as? Is there any like specific ones that you're looking to change, Celine? And you can turn on your microphone if you'd like as well in the summary page. So like these headings, client info, payment schedule, expense summary, payments, things like that. Perfect. So I can't say too much on our plans for the proposal since it's not something that we are currently working on. But in the future of details, our plan is actually to have the proposal be more like the worksheet, where you'll be able to like drag and drop sections and edit things and change out heading titles and things like that. So yes, in the future, it absolutely will be an option. As far as when that will be, I do not have an answer for you. How would we know if the theme allows for a longer name? I have had clients with some longer names and I struggle to get it on one line. I have a list somewhere that actually has like options for longer names. And if you want to get with me, Lena, after this, I would be happy to send over the names of those so that you'll know which ones allow for longer names. Yeah, of course. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead and give it a minute here. But while I'm waiting, I do also just want to remind everyone that our session today is going to be recorded. If you want to watch this over again, you're absolutely welcome to. And in our follow-up email, we will be including links to our support center article that goes over proposal settings and also saving templates and defaults here on the proposal section. So if you want to go over any of that again, you'll absolutely have that information available to you in our follow-up email. All right, but it doesn't look like we have any more questions here, so I'll go ahead and stop sharing. But if you end up having any questions later, or anybody comes across anything that you have questions on, just reach out and I am more than happy to assist you. You can reach us at support@detailsflowers.com and we'll be happy to help you further. All right, well, I appreciate everybody for taking some time. And if you guys have any other questions, like I said, just feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us at support@detailsflowers.com or through that contact us form if you want to schedule some time with support. But I hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much for joining.